Drewry's put together this press edit of the container market industry. I have here with me today Neil Decker, Head of Container Research. Neil, in 2012 you were expecting to see 60 megaships delivered into the fleet. This is going to have a massive impact, isn't it?
Indeed, supply will be the real driver for the industry this year. By megaships, we're referring to vessels of over 10,000 TEU. They're inflexible with their deployment. They would naturally go into the Asia-North Europe trade rather than Trans-Pacific. This is already driving a restructure of the Asia-North Europe trade, whereby we have new alliances forming. We have MSC with CMA CGM, we have Evergreen joining with CKYH, and we have the new G6 alliance members, which is obviously 6 carriers. So for these carriers, it's very difficult to get the actual deployment right. As far as the G6 consortium is concerned, we don't know exactly what the deployment will be come April, June, but from some initial analysis we've done in terms of what we know, the ships that are coming in by the end of the year, we reckon capacity on the trade lane will grow by something like 13%, which clearly is way above what we're expecting on the demand front. So there will be a definite problem on the supply-demand dynamics. The other issue to think about here, of course, is as the big ships come into Asia-Europe, they will naturally push out post-Panamax ships of, say, 8,000, even 9,000 TEU. And again, the conundrum for the carriers is where are they going to put these vessels? Quite naturally, some of those will probably go into the Trans-Pacific. We're already seeing that happen at the moment. China shipping last year, end of last year, took delivery of some 14,000s, and that's already pushed some 9.5s out into a Trans-Pacific West Coast loop. So the impact of this delivery of the big ships is not just in situ for Asia-Europe. It will have a natural cascade effect down on other trade lanes. So very, very difficult for the carriers on the deployment front this year. And this is all because of these ships that were ordered back in 2007, 2008. And to a certain extent, the order book was revitalised last summer, and a number of carriers ordered some 12s and 13,000s, and indeed Maersk, with real game changer with the 18,000s, although they won't come in until 2014. But although the order book's now stopped, that revitalisation last year will have an ongoing effect for the next couple of years.
Neil, there's been some talk of structural change in the industry. Is this going to occur in 2012?
Well, I think it is already happening to a certain extent. We've seen quite a lot of change on the operational alliances in Asia-Europe. We now have the G6 alliance, MSC aligning with CMA CGM and CKYH and Evergreen. And this is really driven by, firstly, a reaction to the daily Maersk service that came into operation at the end of last year, and also the fact that there are simply so many big ships of 10,000, 12,000 TEU in the system. So it's quite natural for some of the other operators, leading operators, to effectively club together and pool their costs so that they can deploy the biggest ships in the best way they can with the lowest slot costs.
We've seen from your comments that there are going to be some changes in the structure. Is this going to have an effect on companies? In 2011, the carriers were burning cash. Are any of them likely to go out of business in 2012?
If we go back to 2009, our estimate was that the industry lost nearly $20 billion. So it was expected that a major company would fail, but in fact none did. We also need to look at the individual structure of the company. Some of the big liner operators are part of conglomerates. Some of them have state backing as well. So it's probably less likely that some of these guys will fail. Our view is that it's the more likelihood that a smaller carrier will fail, or even if they don't fail, that they will retrench back into their key markets, somewhere like Inter-Asia or something like that, and they won't be a player in the East-West trades where they've obviously lost money in Asia and Trans-Pacific in the last year. We also believe that there won't be any aggressive M&A activity, because the last time that happened back in 2005 with CP Ships and P&O Ned Lloyd left rather a bad taste in the mouth of the acquiring companies. So we don't believe that will really happen this year.
Indexes have been talked about quite a lot in terms of the contracts. 2012, there's been talk that it's going to be an increasing feature of the contracts that have been made. Do you think 2012 is going to be the year of the index?
I think yes and no. Historically, contracts between shippers and carriers have been signed normally for a given period, a rate against a volume, so quite a simple contracting process. However, the last 3 years in the industry in terms of supply and demand have been very volatile. One thing that shippers need to be wary of, for example, this year, is that we expect rates possibly to go up. There'll be a fairly big rate spike in the second half of the year, if indeed there is quite a lot of idling. One way they can get round this, and we'll work to the benefit of the carriers as well, is to bring in an index-linked contract to the duration of that contract, be it 12 months or 24 months. And it might be that as the market goes up or down, there'll be trigger points in the duration of the contract whereby the shippers and the carriers don't have to come back together again and renegotiate. Once they've done that, then there's an opportunity for both parties to get together and perhaps add more value to the contract in terms of forecasting and really building a relationship, so that we don't have this adversarial situation that we've had for the last couple of years, and which particularly happened in 2010, when carriers very quickly removed capacity to get rates up, and of course shippers were up in arms because there was enough capacity or boxes in the system, and rates very heavily spiked in favour of the carriers.
So in that respect, indexes are actually going to make a better environment for both shippers and carriers?
We think so, yeah. There's certainly, anecdotally, when we've spoken to both parties in the last 6 months, there's been more interest. Although, for example, if we look at the Trans-Pacific trade, the rate negotiations won't be signed till March, April, May time. But there certainly looks to be more interest, and we think that will be a bigger feature throughout 2012.
Thank you, Neil. We hope you found this piece of interest. Please do get back to us if you have any questions using the post below. Thanks.